Hi everyone. Okay, I'm gonna try making some Samoan pani popo dessert. I'm gonna make it two ways. Me and my husband are trying to decide which one is the best recipe. So I have two recipes. And I don't have my mixing bowls because I'm also making homemade bread. So I'm gonna be using a pot and this and hope that it works. So for the first recipe that I found online, it says to start with 1 cup warm milk and 1/2 cup warm water. They actually both say that. So we're gonna start with 1 cup of milk, and I'm gonna microwave that for each one. So here's 1 cup. Okay, I'm just gonna pour it in here, and then I'm gonna warm it up. Okay, so I warmed it up. So here's 1 cup warm water, and now I'm gonna warm up 1/2 cup of. I'm sorry. This is 1 cup warm milk. I'm going to warm up 1/2 cup of water. So this I just microwaved about 45 seconds. I'm going to do the same with some water. I'll be right back. So here's 1/2 cup warm water. Okay, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon yeast or 1 pack of yeast. Here's 1, 2, 4, and then 1 teaspoon sugar. One teaspoon sugar. Just gonna mix that. Okay, we're gonna let that sit about 5 to 10 minutes while we start our second batch. Just want to make sure you don't see any yeast pieces in there. Okay, set that aside. We'll start our second one. Again, warm milk, 1 cup warm milk. I'm gonna warm this up. I have my 1/2 cup of warm water ready first, so we'll add that. Okay, here's our 1 cup warm milk, and both recipes start the same, so it's going to be the same thing. Add in our yeast. So 1 packet or 2 teaspoons and 1/4 teaspoon. So here's 1, 2, and a little bit more. And then our teaspoon of sugar. There we go. And then whisk this one up. Okay, so one recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of coconut oil, and then the other recipe uses melted butter. So we're going to try one with coconut oil and one with melted butter. We'll see which one comes out tasting better. So I'm going to melt both of these. The coconut oil is pretty hard, so I'm just going to scoop it into my container, and then I'm going to warm it up, and I'll show you guys how it looks. Let's see if I can measure this here. Okay, so I warmed my butter. I have a 1/4 cup of butter and I have a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. So I'll do the coconut oil in the white bowl and try to remember this one's coconut oil. So here we go. We're gonna add the oil, this one, and then 2 and 3/4 cup flour. So where's my 1 cup? Let me go find my 1 cup. Okay. So 1 cup. 2 cups. Cup, and you just need 1/4 cup here. And 1/4 cup. So that makes 2 and 3/4 cups. Okay, so we're going to stir this in until it gets too hard, and then we will knead it out by hand. But I'm going to start both of these at the same time, if I can. Bring this a little closer here. This is very sticky, so I think I'm going to have to add a lot of flour to this. It smells so good with the coconut oil. Okay, now let me get started on my other batch. So I'm adding in the melted butter. And the flour measurements are different. It's 2.5 cup flour. But I have a feeling I'm going to have to add more to knead it out. So let's see. So here's 1. 2. And my 1/2 cup. Let me grab a new spoon. Okay. So a little backstory. If you guys don't know, my husband's Samoan. So I try to make as much Samoan foods as I can. Although we don't eat meat, we only eat seafood. So most of their food is meat-based. So there's not much I can make, but we wanted to try. My husband's been asking to try this dessert, so we're trying to see which recipe comes out better, and we will see. I'm not Samoan, I'm white, so me making a Samoan dessert, let's see how well I do this. This one's super sticky, as I thought it would be, so you're probably going to have to add a lot of flour when you knead it out. Okay, let me get my kneading board. Okay. Flour the surface.
Alright, make it good class.
Probably need more flour. So we'll start with the coconut oil batch. Try to get that out here. Best I can. Very sticky. Add some oil and flour. That is super sticky. not as bad as I thought. So I'm just gonna knead this for about 5 to 10 minutes until it's not sticking in my hand and I can form a nice dough ball. This way for the recipe doesn't say to oil the bowls, but I have to make it my own. So I'm gonna add some coconut oil to just lightly coat the bowls. I always do this when I'm making anything with dough. It's really just for the pizza dough that it calls for, but I do it with cinnamon rolls and I do it with pretzels. I've done it with all of them. So for this one, I decided to try coconut oil. So this bowl was for this batch, and this is the one that I used coconut oil in. So I'm just gonna move it around a little bit in there, and then I'll cover it up. And it says to let it rise for about an hour. So here's this one, and then just very lightly. And this is the butter. Both feel amazing. Okay, and then I'm going to cover these up. I just use saran wrap. I don't have any towels that I use. I'm sure it would work the same. Somehow I always ruin the saran wrap no matter what I do. It doesn't have to be too tight, but I just like to go around at least once. And there we go. So here is our buttered dough. We'll set this aside for an hour. And here is our coconut oil dough. And these recipes also have a little difference in the sauce. So with one sauce is with sugar and one uses sweetened condensed milk. So we'll also try that and see which one comes out better, so that when you guys make it, you have the best option. So here's the second one, and then we'll let that rise and we'll come back in an hour. In case you were wondering where my mixing bowls went, I started some homemade bread, sandwich bread, and I'm letting that rise as well. So we'll see how these come out. So I got these going and I've got those going. Looks like a bakery in here. Hopefully it'll smell like one. is so soft. It feels so good. That was easy.
Is good enough for you?
Yeah, thank you.
More mayonnaise and
Yep.
top two?
Please. Just need a snap. And I'll make my coffee. Now we make the sauce. They both have coconut cream. I thought that I was going to measure it out into cups, like 2 cups, but it looks like I'm going to need the whole can. So just go ahead and pour the whole can in there. And then for the first sauce, you use a can of coconut cream. And then same thing with condensed milk. I was only going to put part of the condensed milk, but I later ended up putting the whole can. So just put the whole can of condensed milk as well. And then mix that in. And this one is the sauce that goes with the bread made with butter. Okay, for the second sauce, again, you're going to add in a whole can of coconut cream. And then for this one, it asks for 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And the recipe said 2 cups of sugar, which is way too much. So I added 1 full cup of sugar. I added it slowly and tasted as I went to see if it'd be too sweet with the vanilla. But again, I ended up adding in the whole cup of sugar. So if you want to make it simple, just add a whole can of coconut cream, not coconut milk. Cream is much better. And then 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I didn't measure it out. I kind of eyeballed it. Can't go wrong with vanilla. And then I added in the full cup of white sugar and just keep mixing really well until it looks like all the sugar is dissolved. Sometimes it's a little chunky still because the coconut cream has some chunks of coconut. So mine was a little bit chunky, but this sauce was actually much better, and I'll let you guys know in the end which one came out the best. But I can tell you right now that I prefer this sauce. Look how huge these got. Oh, it's wiggly. Okay, we're gonna bake these now. These are the coconut oil ones. So this is coconut oil, so we're gonna use the sauce that goes with this one. That one has the sugar. Look at those things. I'm not gonna add a ton of sauce because I'm afraid it might be a little doughy. Maybe it won't, but I'll add some and then I'll add the rest when it comes out. So here we go. Looks so pretty, doesn't it? What do you think? I think that's good. So we start with that. And then we're going to throw these in the oven at 350 for about 25 minutes. But before we do that, I'm going to get my other ones ready too. And these are the ones made with butter. Let's see how I'm going to remember that. I guess butter will be on the right. And this one has the sauce with condensed milk. So switch on over. Put some sauce on these guys. Not too much. That looks good. I'm going to set this aside. What I do with my cinnamon rolls is I put a baking dish underneath so that the bottoms don't burn. So I'm going to do that with these too. So I'll do one on each. We're going to bake one on one side and one on the other. So this side is coconut. Just a bunch of coconuts on this one. And the cream is pretty chunky. But that's just chunks of coconut, so that's okay. And then I'm going to set my timer for 25 minutes and we'll check it and see what they look like. Okay.
This morning. Get outside, we walk around. Let's just stay clean.
So after I took these out, I ended up putting them back in. You can see I cut them a little bit to see how the inside cooked. I put them back in for about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. And then I took them out and I could tell that the dough was completely cooked all the way through. And then you're going to add the rest of your sauce on top. Well, I wouldn't rather say the rest of your sauce. It depends on how big your tray is. My tray definitely wasn't big enough. I would have put more sauce. But you can always add it as you eat it and then just heat it up. So I switched my pans in case anyone noticed. So I'm doing the right sauce for the right pan. And then you just want to top it off with the sauce. You could even put it back in the oven to warm it up a little bit with the sauce on top. But mine were so hot that it came out perfect. But just make sure you fill in all the gaps so it's a nice gooey soggy bread. So this is the final product. This is what they looked like. And the result was me and my husband both agreed that the bread with the butter came out much better for the bread. It was just more of like a dense, fluffy bread. It just tasted much better than the one with the coconut oil. That one was good too, but it was a lot lighter and it wasn't as fluffy. And then for the sauce, like I said, the sauce with the sugar was much sweeter. The one with the condensed milk just wasn't sweet enough for us. So if we were to make this again, and I'll add the recipe, I'll add each recipe that I used in the description, and then I'll add the recipe that we prefer. So we prefer to use the bread with the butter along with the sauce from the other recipe with the sugar. So we're just mixing two, and then hopefully if you make this, you will also come out with some perfect rolls that taste delicious. And just know that this is supposed to be a nice, moist, soggy bread. A little different than most people are used to, but it is delicious, and I hope you enjoy.